how to lose belly fat the real way with working out. If you're actually looking for this type of video, then I hate to break it to you, there's no number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exercises on the planet that will actually help you lose fat in a specific area on your body, because it doesn't work like that. If you want to lose fat in a specific area on your body, then you should focus on getting your overall body fat percentage down. That's why you need to focus on bringing down your overall body fat percentage. That's why in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can use compound exercises to bring your overall body fat percentage down while building strength and muscle at the same time. You see, compound exercises are things like squat, bench, and deadlift. They work on multiple muscle groups together, meaning they burn technically a lot more calories. And this also helps you with the process of building muscle, which will help your metabolism. And that will allow you to burn more fat when you're at rest or just doing anything in general, allowing you to eat more calories. But the only problem with compound exercises, especially the 3 that I mentioned, is not a lot of them are beginner friendly, and they take a lot of time to master and do properly without getting injured. That's why I'm gonna suggest and give you 1 to 3 alternatives per compound exercise and give you variations and instructions on what to do to help you build a greater foundation to then eventually do and complete those compound movements. So let's dive into it. Let's start with squats. You see, I've trained hundreds of people, both in person and online, over the last couple of years. And I've also helped hundreds of people lose over 50+ pounds and never gain it back. And in my experience, a lot of people do not have the dexterity or range of motion in their knees or shoulders, or the stability in their core / mobility in general to perform a barbell squat properly. Me personally, I have never done a barbell squat. I can't physically hold it with my shoulders. Not everybody's able to do that. In order to build a great foundation, if you want to do a barbell squat, we're gonna get you to start off with some box squats.
All you're gonna do, once you know the stance, put your hands here, you can put your hands here, you can put your hands here. They're all slightly different and might make it more difficult. Now there's 2 ways to do a box squat. You could do it just the way I did it, where you're literally completely sitting and stopping and then getting up, or you could just do a nice little light tap. The differences between that is the second version is much harder because it keeps more tension on the muscle. You're not pausing, you're not stopping. So here I'm stopping, right? So you would do it for like 2 seconds of a pause, and here, just a nice tap, okay? So I would start with the first version, do a couple sets, 10 to 20 reps, and then do the second version where you're doing like, do a set, do 2 sets, do 3 sets, whatever you're fine, comfortable, and whatever, however it's difficult for you. And then just tap your butt, okay? The other thing I wanna know, you can start as high as you want to or as high as you need to, okay? This is about to my knee. So this is a good depth for most beginners to start. If your mobility is shit or you find this too low, that is okay. Do not stress, please, okay? So what you're gonna do, if you're doing this at home and you're using a chair, get a pillow or 2 or 3 or as many as you need. And even if the squat is this small of a range of motion, I promise you over time, you'll be able to improve. So then you're just gonna simply do whatever you're able to do within your own range of motion. Every body is different, okay? Remember that. And then you're gonna get rid of a pillow. And then you're gonna do it with 2 pillows. If you started with 3 pillows, and then you're gonna go to 1 pillow. And then you're gonna go to no pillows. And then you're gonna be at a chair. So that's what I mean. I promise you over time, we'll get better. Now, if you're doing it and you're just starting with a box or you're just starting with a bench, I mean, the bench, there's kind of hard to progress with that, but if you're just starting with a box, stick with the box. If you find it with a challenging depth, you don't want to go super low. That's not the point of a box squat. You can use it to improve range of motion and do a full range of motion squat, and then in which case lower the box, but it's not the necessarily purpose of a box squat. Box squat is to overload a regular squat. Main progression, once you get over the height progressions of this, would then be to add load.
The reason why this exercise is so great is because you can literally do this at home. You can start at home with a box. It doesn't actually have to be a box. It could be a bench, it could be a coffee table, it could be a couch. I know it might sound super straightforward and really easy, but if you're someone who's over 300 pounds, just like I was, this is incredibly difficult if you're doing 10, 15, 20 reps. Like, this was one of the first things that my coach had me doing over a decade ago, where I would like cry in agony because of how out of shape and how much my quads sucked. Because of how out of shape I was and how much my quads would hurt by doing this. This will help you build stability in your knees, in your core, strengthen your glutes and your quads, which will benefit you to eventually progress to barbell squats if you want. The second exercise for squat stability that I love to get clients to do is step ups.
And I'm doing this without weight to start. There's not much of a difference to do it with weight or without weight. It's just an extra load. Typically, I would go higher than this. But in the name of progressive overload, you could literally start an inch off the floor. Like, let's say you're rehabbing your knee, or there's an issue with your ankle, or it's really fucking difficult for you to do more than an inch off the floor without you getting super winded. That's okay, because you're good at, and this is one of the reasons I love step-ups. There's almost an unlimited amount of progressions and regressions to doing it. A 90-year-old can do a step-up, a 2-year-old can do a step-up, technically, or a 6-year-old can do a step-up, all right? And everyone in between. And then there's different ways to advance and regress. Okay, so anyways, leg, knee, parallel with foot. Now, to not confuse you or overcomplicate things, depending on how you do a step up, it can target more quad, it can target more glute. If you just do it normally, like the way I'm set up, so I'm just stepping straight up, that will target just overall. If you lean more forward, that's more quad. And if you notice, when I lean more forward, my knee's gonna track over the toe more, activate more quad. If you lean more back or you're more upright, okay, that's more glute. And if you want even more glute, put all the pressure through the back of your heel, which you should do anyways to increase the balance, and then you should feel your glute even more, because you're literally just stepping up through your glute.
So this mimics walking up and down the stairs, which is a great unilateral movement, meaning you're doing one leg at a time. You can literally also use the stairs to do this at home. And eventually, when you're comfortable enough, you can add load via a multitude of options. This exercise is incredibly good for improving your stability, your balance, working on your knees, your ankles, your quads, your glutes. And it's honestly a perfect movement to do prior to your barbell squats. Now, let's move into the bench press. You see, jumping straight into the bench press without a proper foundation is suicide. I personally hate the bench press. A lot of people get hurt by doing it. I don't like it. It's really not advantageous anatomically. And for a lot of you guys that are beginners out there that are on your weight loss journey, you don't need to do it at all. Regardless, you still need to build a proper foundation on your upper body, especially for your pecs and your shoulders. So what I would want you to do is start with an incline or a wall push-up.
So incline means literally anything more than flat. So flat would be the floor, whatever the floor is. Decline we'll get into at another time, maybe now, but it's very straightforward. Incline, I might prescribe you a wall push-up, because a wall push-up is basically the wall. So if I wish I had wall space, but pretend I'm against the wall, right? So this is a wall right in front of me. You're basically just doing a push-up. And then the thing that you could do that's great about a wall push-up is progressions and regressions. So all you're gonna do is, if you could do this, great. The next week, you should be able to take a step back. And now, as you can see, although I'm doing a shitty job at demonstrating this completely because I don't have a wall in front of me, I'm increasing an angle. So it's gonna be slightly harder. Take another step back, and now it's a 20-degree angle. That was a terrible demonstration on how to do that. So now I'm gonna show you properly. You're gonna use the same methods and form setup and techniques for an incline push-up that you're gonna do for wall push-up, decline, regular push-up. Your hands are gonna be parallel and right under your shoulders, and then you're gonna make a straight line. So this is also called an incline plank. There's a regular plank, there's a decline plank, and then there's an incline plank. Incline planks is the easiest. I don't really prescribe it because it's too easy almost. So if you're doing this properly, you should feel and engage your core a little bit. If you're shaking, that's fine. That means you're engaging your core properly. So hands parallel with shoulders. Then what you're gonna do is bring your chest down and push through the chest. It's a lot easier for me to say that than actually demonstrate it, or for you to feel your chest. Next thing I want you to pay attention to would be the angle in which I'm pressing. So a lot of people, they do this shit. They spread out, okay? So if I stand and I show you, they spread out. Don't do that shit. What you're gonna do is you're gonna find a comfortable angle that's not pressed out. You're gonna basically almost tuck your elbows, okay? So if I show you, okay, so if I'm doing, it's almost the same thing as a chest press, dumbbell chest press, cable chest press. You're setting up the same way, virtually, okay? If I show you a couple of reps so you get an idea, I'm set up in a straight line basically, and then down, up, down, up. Okay, so that's a whole breakdown of the incline push-up.
With a wall push-up, you would do the same thing as the incline push-up. You would just start on the wall, and then you would take a step back until you run out of room, and then you could progress to an incline push-up. When you progress to incline push-up, you could also do this at home. You start on your island, then you can go to like your couch or your coffee table, and then eventually you can go to progress with flat push-ups. However, sometimes I've seen clients go from incline to flat push-ups, and flat push-ups are still really difficult. In that case, I would then recommend you do what's called a reverse band. This will ultimately build strength and the foundations for you to perform the bench press properly with ease while avoiding any injuries. Now, finally, we have deadlifts. Deadlifts are a great exercise. They're really good. However, I see way too many beginners, or even people that have been working out in the gym for 20 years, have no clue what they're doing with this. That's because they don't know how to do what's called a hinge. And that's why I recommend everybody starts off with a glute bridge.
Feet parallel with your shoulders, and then you're gonna lie back, and all you're gonna do is initiate movement from the hip or your glute, okay? You're just gonna drive straight up. A lot of you should probably have practiced at this by now. Where you should feel this is in your hamstring and your glute, okay? I want you to try to feel your glute more than your hamstring. Then the other things to note is foot positioning matters. So if you bring your feet super close in, you're gonna feel your quad more. If you bring your feet super far out, you're definitely gonna feel your hamstring more. And then what I want you to try to do is find a balance in the middle to initiate the drive just from the glute. So that's double leg or bilateral. Single leg, be quite simple. You're gonna put one foot in the air and then do the same thing. okay? Again, you want to drive through the glute. Another option you could do at this point is you could put a dumbbell on your hip on the floor, single leg. You could add weight here, or then the other option would be to then do it elevated.
The great thing about this glute bridge is you could literally start doing this at home, okay? So you could start on the floor with regular glute bridges, then you'd go to B stance, then you would go to single leg, then you would go to single leg with a foam roller or some elevated surface. And then finally, you can then go and progress to a hip thrust single leg off the couch. And then you're gonna have to add load at some point because your glutes are really strong. The reason why this is such a good movement pattern to start with instead of deadlifts is because it teaches you like half of the hinge movement, and it also builds up a great strength in your core, in your glutes, in your hamstrings, etc. And finally, for the upper back or just the back in general, my favorite recommendation would be TRX rows. The reason for this is because pull-ups are great, but TRX rows are better because not a lot of people, especially overweight people or people just starting off on their weight loss journey, they can't do a pull-up. So unless you have access to an assisted pull-up machine, I always opt for TRX rows. And similar to the incline push-up, the further you go back, the harder it's gonna be. I even use inverted TRX rows in my workouts sometimes. I love the TRX. And then my recommendation would then you could progress from the TRX rows to inverted rows. There's so many ways you can progress on inverted rows. You can add load, you could do it elevated, etc. And then finally, you're gonna be able to eventually start cranking up pull-ups if you do inverted rows with relative ease. So this would be a strong and great foundation for you to do to build your back and your glutes to then eventually do deadlifts, okay? But you still need to learn how to properly work on your hinge. Now let's not forget about the core. For core, planks are fantastic. You could also add twist movements that works your obliques, something like a Russian twist or what's called a Palloff press. If this video helped you out and you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Share this with a friend who is struggling to lose weight, and like and comment and subscribe because it really helps with the algorithm. And also, if you're looking for some personal guidance on starting your weight loss journey, on shedding those extra pounds that you've been struggling to lose for the last decade, click one of the links in my description below to schedule a free game plan chat with me or someone on my team where we could walk you through the next steps and see how we could be a good fit to work together and see how we could help you. I'll see you in the next video.